Week 1 of heavy sandbag shock loading is in the books. Let me start by defining what shock loading is. It's basically a term I like to use to describe lifting a heavy sandbag, questionably heavier than what you probably should be lifting, in order to progress in a more linear approach to build adaptation and a strength foundation for all the sandbag moves. It has its risks, but also has its rewards, I've found, because after lifting heavy to that level from start to finish, it's going to simply force the body to adapt with all the struggle and discomfort that comes with it. After about 2 to 6 months of that, and then dropping the weight lower, lighter weight will move much better with a lot less fatigue. Fatigue will also be delayed much longer as well. So in this video, I'm going to talk about not only the sandbag work, but the why, the approach, and adjustments to every aspect, including the kettlebell, calisthenics, and rucking. So let's jump on in. So at this weight of 280 pounds, I'm keeping the sandbag moves minimal with 1 move per session, 2 sessions per week. Any sandbag move you do, it's going to be a full body exercise. Each one just involves more areas of the body than others. The extension to the chest here involves more of the hamstrings to me, especially in the horizontal position. Both massively engage the back and posterior chain a fair amount. Something I've noticed about picking the bag horizontally, with it being wider at the top, is that I can get whichever arm is on the narrow side deeper under the bag, and the arm on the wider side is kind of hindered from getting as deep due to the side being larger. So it seems one arm is doing more in the lift than the other. So I just try to switch it up every time I pick it up horizontally to stay balanced with strength on both sides. Picking this sandbag horizontal is a bit of a weird feeling compared to a normal sandbag. I didn't like it at first, but the fact that I didn't like it meant I needed to do it. So I'm staying horizontal in an entire session in this cycle. For this cycle, I'm solely focusing on the rings for bodyweight movements. I've always done regular push-ups and pull-ups on the bar. Rings are something I want to improve on. I used them in the last cycle on and off, but now it's time to dial in, build some adaptation to them to light the stabilizers up. I've always done single-arm kettlebell snatches from a hinge position, but I'm going to focus on them from a dead stop position on the ground. I took this inspiration to try that from Glenn at Silverback Strength. He's about 64 years old, still getting after it. If you haven't seen him, go check him out. I've been doing this combination of pull-ups and kettlebell snatches for a while now, and it's one of those pairings that works well together, as in one move doesn't affect the other. Balanced in a sense, I'd say. Then there's the benefit of building explosiveness and the stabilizer muscles from this as well. But all that aside, it's fun to do, repeatable, and that's where the most consistency is found. So this is a move I haven't trained that much heavy in the past. I did it a little bit with 250 pounds in the previous carry focus cycle. Picking the sandbag up from an upright position is really going to build the quads, the hamstrings, the glutes, and entire posterior chain the most from where I feel it at. Extending up from the lap to a slightly lean back position, especially with a massive heavy sandbag, either exposes and addresses any weak point in the core. This is something I noticed as well as doing bear hug carries at 274 pounds in the previous cycle. First time doing this variation, 8 times with a heavy weight and a solid bag, it made my abdominal area sore the next day in a way that any weight or floppy bag below it has not. The last 2 sets I had to pick it from vertical because it got difficult to get the bag over my knees from this position. As I train more with it, the goal is to keep the picks upright for all 10 sets. So the sandbag stuff is pretty straightforward. A single move every session, and that's about all I can focus on and have the work capacity for at this kind of weight. 10 sets of low reps with this heavy sandbag is a pretty good volume amount. It's enough to fatigue, but not annihilate at the same time. And this is the plan for the sandbag work for the next 12 weeks as I pursue a goal of a 300-pound sandbag to shoulder between them. If you've watched my channel for some time, kettlebell swings and push-ups are a staple. I use them for conditioning and press work. On top of that, I do it because I enjoy it. We get so busy trying to chase the most optimal programming for whatever goal we're going after and forget to enjoy the process. Swing and push is just a minimal full body arrangement. In this cycle, I've just added a spin on it with some ring push-ups and single arm press, with a little side quest of keeping box jumps in the mix and ring dips as well. I don't burn myself out on calisthenics with trying to do as many reps as possible every set. I stay submaximal with enough reps to maintain a higher volume of sets. I also like to vary the pace on the exercises and spice the last few sets up sometimes to keep it fun. Like adding a carry with the kettlebell or a pause on the body weight. I think this has improved my ability to do more reps unbroken over time just from the adaptation, rather than burning myself out on reps every workout. I've struggled at a plateau forever to do more than 15 push-ups and 5 pull-ups, and now I can sustain more than that for volume. So I've had rucking in the training for a while now, up to this point as a supplement. Something fun I like to do. It's really to build strength endurance, work capacity, and just the functional carryover. I'm going to scale it back this cycle though, with weight from 50 to 65 pounds to 30 pounds as one element is currently heavier, the sandbag. I have to adjust another and cut back the weight if I want to maintain a routine like that. I'm still keeping the push-ups and handcuff get-ups, scaling back rucking to just once a week from twice a week. Coming up soon, I'm going to drop the ruck for about 8 weeks and start running to prepare for an obstacle course race that involves some running. At that point, I'll be training like some sort of hybrid athlete, but with a heavy sandbag. Okay, so that's a little recap of week 1 of shock loading the body with the heavy sandbag, plus a little dive into the methods and approach I use for the kettlebell and calisthenics. This acts in a way of a recovery tool between the heavy sandbag work. Training this heavy, I found a sustainable way to alternate the days between sandbag and kettlebell and calisthenics. In my time training and overloading the sandbag, the best part to me is not being ridiculously sore in some areas, then being able to barely move the next day. And that's what keeps routines like this repeatable. One of the downsides is that some days will feel super strong, others will feel like day one. That's okay. It's just the adaptation. I went through a lot of that to get here. Why is now any different? This was week 1. In week 2, I'm about to add some Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in there twice a week and a light rucking with push-ups and get-ups once. We'll see how that goes, and I'll talk about it soon. If you're still watching at this point, thank you for being here. I know it's a lot, but there's a lot more approach and thought involved behind those daily shorts with a few words about the workout. That's just a recap of week 1. Time to recover and roll into week 2. It's more to come on that. And if you have any questions, anything to add, leave it in the comments. Thanks again for being here. And until next time, keep putting in the work.